Today, we will discuss the differences between the Snowball Debt Payoff Method and the Avalanche Debt Payoff Method. Debt is a problem for the vast majority of Americans today. It can have a negative impact on your physical, emotional, spiritual, and, of course, financial health. Nonetheless, most people believe getting out of debt is an impossible endeavor. So, what's the best way to get out of debt, and where do you begin? There are two main approaches to debt repayment: the Snowball and the Avalanche Method. These approaches are similar and trustworthy in assisting you to get out of debt sooner and with less interest. Is one better than the other, though? We'll look at the advantages and disadvantages of each. The debt snowball approach involves paying off the smallest debts first to get them out of the way before moving on to larger ones, sort of a do the easy jobs first approach. You list all of your outstanding debts in ascending order of size. You then make minimum payments on all your debts and apply any surplus funds to the smallest debt. Once the smallest debt is paid off, you roll over the amount you were paying on that first obligation to the next smallest debt until it is paid off, and so on until you're debt-free. This straightforward approach requires discipline and commitment, but it will be well worth the effort. Advantages and disadvantages of the debt snowball method. It's difficult to feel enthused about paying off your debts, and it's even more difficult if you don't seem to be making any progress. Without a sense of progress, you're more likely to give up early on. The debt snowball method's significant advantage is that it helps build motivation. Because you see quick results, for example, completely reducing some outstanding balances in just a few months, you are more likely to remain with the plan. That mountain of debt doesn't seem so insurmountable after all. Also, it is simple to implement. No need to compare interest rates or APRs. The biggest drawback of the debt snowball method is that it can be more expensive in the long run. When you prioritize balances over interest rates, you may end up paying more in interest. It can also take longer to become completely debt-free. While paying off your obligations from smallest to largest, you'll likely still be paying high interest rates on other loans. For example, if you begin by paying a $400 medical debt with a low interest rate but have a credit card debt of $2,300, you would continue to pay higher interest rates on the credit card debt while you pay down the $400 medical bill. A quick reminder, if you've enjoyed the video so far, consider subscribing, as we frequently upload informative and educational videos. Let's continue. The Avalanche approach tackles the most significant con of the snowball method. The Avalanche technique instructs you to categorize your debts by interest rate rather than least amount to most amount. You would first sort your debt from the highest to lowest interest rates and attack the debt with the highest interest rate. Like the snowball strategy, you continue to make minimum payments on all your other obligations while transferring what you put towards the first bill to the next highest interest rate debt until they are all paid off. This strategy is tactical, and it will save you both time and money. Advantages and disadvantages of the debt avalanche method. For individuals with larger amounts of debt, the avalanche method can shorten the time it takes to pay off your overall debt. The debt avalanche method is the best way to save money and time, but it has certain drawbacks. It mainly needs discipline, paying off a specific obligation with all of your additional money, not just the minimum. The debt avalanche will be less effective if you lose drive and skip a month or two of strategic repayments. The debt avalanche method also requires a certain amount of discretionary income that you can apply to your debts. A rise in everyday living expenditures or an emergency could derail the plan. Which method is better? Whether a debt snowball or a debt avalanche is better depends on whether we are speaking in financial or psychological terms. A debt avalanche is preferable in terms of saving money. Because it requires you to pay off debts depending on their interest rates, the most expensive ones first, which ultimately leads you to spending less in interest. Some people find that paying off lesser bills initially, regardless of interest rate, makes it much simpler to stay motivated. It all depends on what drives you. How to decide which method works best for you. You will be able to accomplish the same goal of paying off your debt, whether you use the snowball approach or the avalanche technique to make payments, provided that you are consistent with either strategy. The most efficient strategy for eliminating debt is determining what works best for you and your unique financial circumstances and then adhering to that strategy by establishing and sticking to a budget, maintaining organization, and remaining on schedule. Deciding which debt payoff method is best for you depends on your financial situation and goals. The Snowball Method works well when you need a quick win to keep motivation high, while the Avalanche Method prioritizes paying off higher interest debts first. Ultimately, it's important to find a balance that works for you and stick with it until all of your debts are paid off. Thank you again for watching my video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.